Okay, recording, and I'm going to share my desktop to start the meeting. It's all you, Andrea.
Okay, all right, you can have that on there, that's fine. Okay, so, call to order at 3:02 on Monday, November 17th. And in the room, we have a full house with our stewardship committee members. We have Tom Dillon, we have Molly Taylor, Mark Pope, and Mike Kelso. And then we have county liaison Melody McCandless, and we have Jennifer Jones from the BLM, and we have Gabe Washek.
Wait, just how it looks.
Okay,
don't overthink
sorry.
it.
I overthought it. Okay, from the clerk's office. And so the first thing for this meeting is we're going to turn it over to Gabe to talk about the proposed administration services proposed changes or ideas. And I know that I've given you this one here. Matt, can you put this one up on the screen?
That one?
Yep. Can you make it bigger?
I sure can.
But now, just talking to Gabe a few minutes ago, I'm hearing there's another one out there, possibly as another proposal.
So this is an effort to update. As you all know, there has been this administrative or bookkeeping fee. It's meant to account for administrative overhead that's provided by general fund monies via the support and funding of general fund departments that offer these types of administrative overhead services. And in the case of Sandflat, since it doesn't operate within the general fund, it's always been deemed appropriate for the restricted monies associated with Sandflats to recoup the general fund for these services that are provided. I had been sort of somewhat frustrated and fearful of being audited on what we had been currently charging in this line, because the derivation of it had never been shared with me. And so it badly needed an update of the methodology so that I could clearly articulate what was how that charge was derived. And so, we didn't do it. This would more ideally have been done, perhaps in the spring or early in the summer, and not quite so close to the budget season. I acknowledge that. And to be clear, this is not proposed to. I don't think it's appropriate to ask for adjustments to this budget year as we're closing this budget year. There's no proposed changes or adoption of this methodology for this year. Solely for 2026. And that's important. And it's also important to note that this is, entering in a placeholder for the budget is a lot different than finalizing what this is actually going to be. I think that the commission is likely considering adopting a policy that will outline very clearly what, sort of methodology is ultimately landed on. And so, what ends up in your, how you end up budgeting for it and what it actually ends up being in the next year, there could be wiggle associated with that, depending on the back and forth that might happen, or, the methodology that is ultimately chosen, and maybe negotiations that come from that. Any questions before I go on? Go ahead.
Yeah, is the 10% negotiable? Like, why not 8%, 8.5, indirect cost rate?
Why wouldn't it be? My office has no authority to dictate or mandate what that rate would be.
Okay, I was just reading that like a fixed 10% de minimis. Yeah.
I just didn't know it's an industry standard practice, and I thought it would be a great place to start. And thank you for asking that question. Rather than being threatened by me mandating it, because that's how it's been received by others.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we could wiggle on it. Yeah.
And ultimately, that negotiation would have to occur with commission and commission administration, and I have no awareness of the development of their ideas surrounding it. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten any communication at all about that.
Because then also the category of that non-general fund, including 5 different budget categories of purchase services, so then that percent rate is being, including indirect. there's a lot of categories in there that falls to what that rate.
And to be clear, I understand that, like, this is a bit of a cudgel, or, you know, it might be a little bit sweeping, or not as, you know, it's not surgical, one might say.
Okay.
But I didn't make it up. We didn't make it up.
Right.
You know, this is definitely following sort of the same sort of rubric that would be used at the federal level for assessing this rate. So, you know, just keeping that in mind, like, this wasn't pulled out of thin air. But I do fully acknowledge that it has its imperfections, and so that brings up the next point, is my office is developing very carefully, in the sense that I wish we would have already been able to share it last week. But I'm finding that, like, everything that my office releases has to be, you know, we have to vet and double check everything, you know, as we should be very careful. But I get very uncomfortable with how my proposals are received if they're not 100% perfect. And so I have to wait and make sure that, like, everything is perfect for them to, you know, so that I hopefully am not sort of, I don't know, treated poorly for that. But I have an alternate methodology that we are going to, that I'll be happy to share with you, hopefully, you know, potentially by the end of today, whereby an alternate methodology would be used where we look at the fund. So I make reference to departments such as personnel services, there's maintenance, there's commission administration, there's IT, there's you know, 5 or 6 departments that provide these types of services. And so we take the total cost, we've asked those departments to determine what proportion of their department operations are dedicated to providing these types of services to the entire county, to all the county. And so I'll use my office as an example. I've determined that about half of my office's duties is directly related to servicing other county departments. The other half is more like fulfilling statutory obligations, internal service, you know, serving the commission in a variety of ways. But between the amount of staff, like my accounts payable staff person that is just processing bills and cutting checks, you know, they exist there for other departments. And so if my total department cost is $700,000, and then 50% of that is committed to dedicated to providing administrative services, that leaves $350,000 as is budgeted for my department to provide these types of services. So we've gone through that exercise for 5 or 6 different departments and have come up with a total bottom line of, out of the county's general fund, how much of those funds are dedicated to providing administrative type services to other departments. With that amount, we've translated that to the total amount of full-time equivalent employees across the entire county, and then how that translates into hours worked, and how that translates into administrative cost per employee per hour. And then that number is used to apply to a department like Sandflats by saying, okay, Sandflats employs this many full-time equivalent employees at this many hours, and this is the amount per employee per hour that is dedicated to administrative services, and therefore we have a new figure of what we could. A proposal, not a mandate, what we could potentially, this is another way of thinking about how we could assess the administrative services fee. So that was pretty complicated, but you get kind of catch my drift.
Can I go with this one for a minute?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways we could skin the orange.
So so I had, okay, so this was an idea that I was coming up with, of taking each department and saying, okay, you know, like you're talking about, what are we costing the county? I mean, that's obviously what our goal is for everyone. So I was looking at first, and you know, at HR, I said, well, okay, if HR's budget is $400,000 a year, I mean, again, this is rough, and there's 300 employees in the county. that ends up about $1,300 per employee. But so for personal services, payroll, and health insurance to be processed. And so when we were looking at this one, which maybe we're moving away from now, we had 10%, we were saying that 648,000 was wages and benefits. And so that means that it's like $65,000 Sandflats would give to the county for administrating our wages and benefits. And if you divide that by, less than 10 employees, let's just say 10 employees, that would mean that it's costing over $6,500 per employee, as compared to the other departments that it's only working out to $1,300 an employee. So that was kind of, what was in my mind in the beginning of this whole thing.
But that's because you're in the non-general fund, so there's all these other administrative costs.
But I'm just talking about the one right now, the HR one.
Okay.
If we're dividing them up,
Okay.
because each one of these correlates with a budget line item.
Okay.
So so for as an example, for search and rescue, these folks all know we have information from search and rescue. They tell us how many hours they're spending at Sandflats, how many UTV hours, how many four-wheel drive hours. And so we have formulas like four-wheel drive, we use the federal mileage. For the UTV, they said it's $50 an hour. They came up with that one. And then they have an average for the employee. So we do a form, we have those calculations, and then we decide if we're going to give them, how much money we're going to give them for the budget. But so what I was hoping was that with what I've written here, I was just trying to figure out, okay, how can we save money and, and also pay what we should pay. But like for maintenance, I was kind of like, okay, well, Sandflats we took care of our own building and grounds for 20 years. We could do that again. And then we wouldn't cost the maintenance department anything, or the maintenance department could give us an hourly rate and we could, come up with maybe something like that. IT, maybe we could get an hourly rate. We don't call upon them very often. And then we already talked about HR. The clerk's office, you were talking about that, the billing, how much it costs to process checks and all the things that the clerk's office does for us. And then the treasurer, I've been in conversation with Chris, and he was telling me that he came up with a percentage for the clerk's office of 34% of their time is spent on all departments for depositing, investing, reconciling, etc. So if I have the treasurer's budget, which I didn't look up, take 34% of that, and then you divide that by the number of departments. So maybe there's 18 departments that use it, and come up with a cost for Sandflats. So I was just trying to look at each one of these things and say, let's try to come up with an amount, either, like you were saying. But anyway, this is where my mind was going with this. And so I just wanted to share that with you folks.
And if I could interject.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think this is really valuable as part of conversations into coming to what is the most comfortable and, common sense approach. I will say one thing that it starts to become a challenge as we assess this fee to 4 different departments is that I certainly would strongly prefer consistency in the way that it's assessed. And that maybe that's not feasible. Maybe I need to get off of that idea. But that's one benefit that I see to a 10% approach, is that we're applying it equally and equitably to these departments that we are assessing it to. But like I said, maybe I'm stuck on that, to my detriment.
Well, I've gotten stuck on some things on here too, yeah. Where I'm like, okay, we have a toilet contract that's $85,000, and we're going to spend $8,500 transferred over when the clerk's office only writes 11 checks for us in a year.
Well, yeah.
So that's why
translating that one-to-one directly.
It's not good.
I don't. Yeah.
That's why I wondered if you can't take some of the things out of the categories. Like, why does the 10% have to apply to contractual purchase services? Why can't that just be part of the accounting and bookkeeping?
Well, right now it even applies to search and rescue, who we just give money to. transfer money over, but we're paying 10% on that. So I know you were just trying to come up with
I'm saying some of the.
an idea.
That would very clearly not be applicable, and that would need to be updated.
Okay.
I would say the contribution in search and rescue clearly shouldn't be assessed. 10%.
Right, we shouldn't pay $1,500. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's why I say we should look at what falls under an operating expense for that budget category.
Because one thing, the way that this is built, the things that are definitely not supposed to be included are capital equipment and projects, buildings, and grants. Sort of grant expenditures.
Right, so that's not in here. Thank you for saying that because I forgot to tell them. So the capital improvement line item budget, that's not in there.
Yeah.
And the grants, and we don't have any grants this year, but yeah.
But certainly other exclusions might apply.
What are the other 3 departments that are not general?
Moab Office of Tourism, roads, and trails.
Yeah, we're specifically very unique since they bring in money and offer services and have higher purchase services.
Well, that was another thing I had in here was I said, well, what about what our department gives to others? I know it's gonna be hard, but I mean, we could say, because like I have helped GCAT, I've helped Responsible Recreation Committee, I've helped with the guide training and this, all these different things. I've helped them with Office of Tourism. So it's kind of like the way it's written, it's like we're just this enterprise fund that's just taking, but actually we're part of the county and we're giving back too. So, we could like have an invoice for my hours spent for different committees, or something. I don't know. But there are ways to do it. It's just, and I'm happy to get in the weeds and, figure it out and come up like I do with search and rescue. No, it's just one thing, but I'm happy to get into the details and make it work.
Yeah, the devil's definitely, go ahead.
No, I was at raising my hand. I was going to ask.
Okay.
Did anyone look at where the 40,920 came from? Was that a percent? Or
Couldn't figure it out.
Couldn't figure it out. That was my baseline question.
And
What are we basing this on if there was never a percent cost? And then did anyone do the math to see what 41,000 would be of the general?
That was also, how long have you been charging that 40,000?
3 years,
4 years, right?
I think 21 is when we started charging that.
So you had to correlate to something else besides that.
Yeah.
And just so you all know,
Yeah.
and just like Gabe said, the commission hasn't agreed on this. We've asked a lot of questions as well,
Yeah.
trying to figure out the best way to make this happen. So
What I was leading up to, if maybe 41 is 5%, because it looks like
Yeah.
little help in that,
Yeah.
then did anyone look at, is 5% not covering these costs of doing HR and doing, per employee or?
I'm really interested in the other one that Gabe's talking about. Is it? And he's not really know if it's going to be ready for
It's higher than
meeting.
this.
It's higher than this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But it's still able to see it.
That's what's interesting.
That is
But that's using it per $1 per hour per employee in that department.
Per full-time equivalent.
But the employee is not using those services. The department is using those services.
Doesn't really matter.
I mean-
it's a way of measuring department activity. I'm not saying it's perfect.
But for clerk's office, as an example.
Rather than
So
gross expenses, it's using a different measure.
If this would
Yeah.
get passed at an X%, do we have an ability to cap the salaries in accounting, bookkeeping, and the clerk's office?
No.
I mean, why not? Well, we're not.
Oh, I don't know. We're not the answer to that.
We're not the federal government. We're not Salt Lake City. And we did the whole county salaries and city counties all based on, equity of the federal and nation. And we're just not that. But that's what our budgeting is all based on, and salaries. Yeah. But anyway, I was just curious.
So I just have a couple thoughts, just to get out of the weeds a little bit. Maybe this is a listening check and you can kind of back me up on this. So the way I look at this is that our department is using services that you provide. And it's a monopoly, right? We don't have an option to going and getting those services from anybody else.
Someone could.
So if we were, and ultimately the devil's in the details. So when we get into some of these things that we've just begun talking about can we exclude this, can we eliminate that? Those are unique things to Sand Flats, but I'm sure each of these other departments has equally unique things that may not use the equipment or may not, the travel doesn't apply. So you're right, you have to come up with a process to say, okay, you're hiring us to provide these services, we have overhead. And that's our our business, so to speak. We decide who we're going to hire and what paper company we're going to use and that kind of thing. So if we were able to bid this out, you would provide a quote to us for the services you provide. And ultimately, that's kind of in the 10%.
Yeah.
And if we start getting into the details about, well, Sandflats doesn't use this, we contract out, it's going to get, I won't say ugly, maybe that's a good word for it, because you're going to have to basically start piecemealing these other departments and make exceptions on their lifetimes just as well. So that's my view of things. So the question I have is, do you know for these 4 departments, when you add them up, what the percentage is combined?
Percent of what?
So this 10%, I assume, is countywide.
Well, you're just coming up with that.
Well, for example, is tourism, roads, and trails, are they each 10%, so it totals 40? Or do they have?
They're percent of their budget.
Yeah, like the officer,
Oh, I see.
tourism, and
Yeah.
TRT has a way higher amount of money than Sandflats.
I was thinking
So it's like capped at,
No,
we've got a cap on
percent
that
of
too.
budget.
of each budget. Okay, I was thinking it was
Yeah.
10% of your expenses.
Yeah.
So my thing I'd throw out is, how about just applying it to personnel salaries, wages, and fringe benefits, and just the personnel to cover.
But what about you mean just using that?
Yeah.
Is this some federal thing that you are based, that you?
That's-
Oh, just that
I like that because that's a path that could be very straightforward.
Yeah.
So we represent.
About all these budget things.
And
That accounting, bookkeeping, the clerk, they have X amount of work they're doing with each department. But if it's based on their salaries, wages, and fringe benefits, it's kind of basing on the size
yes,
of all that.
and that's kind of where I was going
I was
to.
just saying a way to eliminate some of the confusion and just base it on salaries.
And you were saying another entity that you said the city or some other entity you know of does this?
No.
Oh, I misunderstood what you said.
Well, I don't know when this idea of the getting compensated for the accounting and bookkeeping happened.
It was when Chris Baird was here.
Right, so if we should come up with, it's based on accounting and bookkeeping.
And that's what he's trying to do now,
Right,
to find out,
yeah.
so we have a specific what it's from.
So I'm just throwing out one
Yeah.
idea that to base it on the salaries.
Which would be the biggest one.
Yeah,
So it would
because
provide.
HR budget is, and the clerk's office, it's sort of related to the activity. Anyway, just throwing it out.
10% of the salary of the personal salaries, wages, and fringe benefits.
Well, that's why I wanted to have the meeting, so we all throw our ideas out there.
Yeah, I mean, measuring of departments' activity, the volume of a department's activity is kind of the crux of this, because that's how we determine, what the burden is on offices within the general fund. Right? And so whether you do that by personnel or by gross operating expenses, those are two really pretty largely different measures. If you look at the Moab Office of Tourism that employs 4, but has a huge, $5 million budget, or Sandflats that has, 19 or some 14 full-time equivalents and a $2 million budget. So I'm just throwing.
No, there's like 4 permanents and 5 seasonals.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
But they're well paid. So the in this little box here, it specifically says indirect. I don't know. An indirect cost rate is a public sector industry standard device for determining fairly and conveniently within the boundaries of principles what proportion of cost is appropriate to bear. So I think that's what we're just talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about coming with this indirect cost rate specifically for the administration services of the county to
Right. I mean, we could
cover their administrative costs.
And I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but I liked the way you were talking about it, because when I was approaching and trying to get input from department heads about what the proportion of their activities, I said, think of yourself as a subcontractor. If you were out there and you contracted these services to anyone, what part of your department's activity acts as a subcontractor to provide these services to anyone and everyone? Think about it that way, because ultimately that is what it is. And
Good answer.
we want it to sort of maybe hopefully approximate what it would cost on the open market but maybe less, hopefully less, right?
Right.
Because there should be efficiency in what we're doing.
Because if we keep reading down here in fine print, it even says fund investment. Well, a standard fund investment can be as low as 1.5% for administrative costs. So to apply 10% to your fund investment, where's that money actually going to? Yeah, that's huge.
Mhm.
And then what Molly's kind of alluded to is that not all these departments will require the same level of services from you.
Sure.
And that ought to be a factor, again, not to complicate it, but if Sand Flats uses your services marginally compared to, say, roads and tourism, then that should be reflected in methodology.
Mhm. Well, we'll get the second approach out, and I'm not sure what to do from there ultimately, but we're happy to share this, and we're trying to develop as much background detail and narrative to go along with it, so that can be easily understandable for anyone that's consuming it.
If you want to take that, or I'll send you that.
Yeah, that's great. I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's, you can have that too if you want. We're down 0.85%. That's all. We were down 1.5
Yeah.
in September, so now we're 0.8.
So maybe we'll get to plus by the end
Yeah,
of the year.
maybe.
We're gonna have good November.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after this, yeah.
The weather's so nice. I mean, it's a little rain, but it's
Cool.
so nice and warm.
And is there anything else that I could be handy for?
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for fitting us in, Gabe.
Of course. Yeah.
What's the, sorry, how is this gonna progress? So it's gonna go up to the county council as a,
Yeah, I would let Melody sort of lead that conversation or
Okay.
Because it is a workshop tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we have a budget workshop at 2:30, this starts at 2:30 tomorrow. And so I imagine this will be part of the discussion on there.
Okay. Good, I thought it was at 3, so.
Okay, so Gabe, it doesn't, yeah, it's hard because you want to ask the questions. I email him.
yeah.
And I try to be responsive to email so people are comfortable
I
doing
try
that.
to email him so that I don't have to ask him the questions, that are, because we're just trying to figure it out, just like right now, we're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like exactly how does it affect our departments
Right.
and how does it affect our general fund? And
Right.
and
So-
I think for me, understanding that it was already in place, but then not understanding what it actually was. Like, okay, we have this money in there, we don't know what it is. So he's just trying to come up with like
Yeah.
the
Or why
background
was that
behind
money
it.
not enough?
And for
And,
years.
and he's getting pushback from the commission a ton. So,
Yeah.
that's like, what's going on? So we're just all trying to figure out.
Right.
So Sand Flats, just for history, Sand Flats paid $5,000 every year from when I started here until Chris changed it to $40,000. We paid $5,000 every year, and we were just told that was for the clerk's office.
Yeah.
We weren't even told about the treasurer's office or anything else. They
Yeah.
just,
But it's fixed, it's not.
it wasn't fixed. It wasn't
Anything.
fixed. No, it wasn't tied to anything. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It came up with it. And I don't know if any other departments were paying it. I don't think so. I think we were the only one. Maybe the road department was paying something.
And to be very clear too, I want to make sure it was like when I was working with my staff who's been kind of doing a lot of the legwork on this, is like I was making very clear from every step of the way that this isn't, we don't have a goal associated with this exercise to come up with more revenue. We're taking a neutral approach how we would do this without any sort of specific, we need to find revenue somewhere kind of idea. That's not where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I should say before you leave though is, and Cody McKinney and I have been talking about this because, his department, it's capped at 200, they're capped at 250,000. He's right up there. It's my understanding. So he's trying to understand it too. But we're an enterprise fund. So the money is supposed to be spent, in relation to Sand Flats,
Yeah.
and so, which we want to pay our way, obviously what we owe,
Totally.
but, anyway.
Yeah. Well, that'd be my only
But I'd like to
suggestion,
have
keep it simpler of what the rate would apply to in the budget. So like throwing it out.
Well, thanks for all y'all's ideas, and we'll be in touch.
all right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on here, all right, so we looked at this just briefly, 0.85%, so we're coming back. And then the other thing on the budget is, Matt, could you pull up the actual budget again? Yeah, do you want me to just use it on mine, because mine's bigger? I have it
Doesn't
here.
matter to me, yeah. Is that better if I zoom in?
So you folks need to know I made a few suggested changes when I found out that hey, wait, why does it look different? Hold on.
I don't think we have that.
No, you don't. It's just up here. This is from Gabe, actually.
Okay.
And it was what you saw before when we met in September. But the change that I wanted to point out was, okay, so we had said that we were going to budget, oh, I know what my problem is. Hold on. Okay, so when I found out it was 10%, the idea was 10%, I wanted to bring down some of our line items in our budget for next year. But I'm like, we probably won't spend that much.
Yeah.
So travel, I brought down from 1,500 to 500. I'm saving 7,000. I'm only saving $700, but I'm
Right.
saving 7,000.
That's why I think we should just recommend they don't do some of the line item things in the.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but if they do,
Yeah.
so this is what is in orange is what I changed. So this was building and grounds. You can see last year we didn't even spend hardly anything. So I thought, well, let's not budget it at 4. Let's budget it at 2. So it was 4.
Right.
So, and then this one, new information. This was a lot of things. This is Emory Telecom videos on local channel 6. This is one of the films. And this is also the engineering for getting the grant for paving the road. But the new county engineer is helping me. So I don't need to
budget
that out.
Plus, why would that fall into 10% going to accounting and bookkeeping if it's in? So that's why I'm just saying it shouldn't be in the budget.
Right.
line.
I know.
So if it was just simpler and when it was
Right.
based on something.
So I brought this down from 2,500 to 21,500.
Okay.
Is the engineer gonna assess this separately?
I don't know. Well, actually, that's a good question. Oh, gosh. That's a good question. I don't have engineering on here. Oh, gosh.
Okay. But see, he's saying because he wants an across the board thing that's not complicated. So they should take out the complicated part of that.
Right, and
Right.
you could just do,
The biggest thing is that these are restricted funds, and I think that because of restricted funds being used maybe improperly or not in the past and getting in trouble with the state auditor, I think that, you have people in the commission that are really pushing back against Gabe, like he just said, he gets treated poorly, not from me, but I mean, there's the people that have been pushing back on him and he just feels like he's being attacked from.
Oh.
And I'm sure he felt that exact same feeling, right? He was just trying to figure out how to best fit this and any acknowledge that he probably came about at this at the wrong time. That we probably should have been discussing this in the summer, so that when got budget season, it would have been complete and we wouldn't be throwing in people's budgets right now. I mean, so the commission could just say, we're not going to do this year and we're just going to worry about next year. I mean, that could be.
I would love that.
That could be the answer to the commission. I mean, he's going to get mad if we, I'm sure that that's not going to be his favorite answer. It's hard because
It's fine to work on it and bring it up. It's just good to clarify it. Like you don't have to apply it to everything like general fund.
Or you could not do that at all. And you
Yeah.
could just look at what we're actually costing the departments based on the best. Well, but it's complicated as you think. Like IT, I don't think I call on them 20 hours a year. You know what I mean?
some of these overall, like an overall thing, like everybody has emails, and he's like, he's doing the back end of making sure that there's the training and that the people that the hackers aren't getting in.
That's true. That's true. There's a lot of going on.
So you're not necessarily
That's true.
calling them.
That's
It's
true.
something it's a big package.
You're right.
It's a package
But
deal.
that's why I like the treasurer saying, because Gabe had asked Chris Kaufman, how much do you spend for depositing, investing in, reconciling?
34%.
34%. So then you take that part of his budget and divide it by the departments that he's doing this for and come up with an amount.
But then some departments are bigger than other
Well,
departments.
that's the thing.
That's why I kind of like the by person item, but he's saying it's going to be more money, which I'm shocked because it's only 9 people.
There's only
So how more 9?
Yeah. And
So I'm interested. I mean, I'm.
Well, that's why I thought they
Going
said
down
on
on
the
that,
salary.
because it does make sense as a methodology thing, but it doesn't make sense totally.
Yeah, I don't think, like, I was shocked when you told me something, so I was like, my jaw almost dropped, like, there's just, I don't, I don't see how we're wrong with it. It's like,
Could be math error.
that would be math error, yeah. And that's why he's gonna check and double check, because last thing he wants is for us at the commission meetings, everybody's watching, for us to like pick out an error, which happens. I mean,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Well, it's human, we're
Like
human.
person
Yeah.
puts
Like
10%
some of
of the
this stuff
salary.
is based on the number of people, like IT, has nothing to do with, say, salaries. Like if there are 7 people in a department, IT, they are doing more than just, oh, I can't start my computer, blah, blah, blah. They're doing the
You're right.
safety,
Point that out.
so forth,
Thought about that.
firewalls and.
firewalls, all of this.
All the
So
stuff.
like a base cost plus this much per person. And I'm just using IT because
It
that's.
makes sense, you're right.
Some of it is
Not really.
based on numbers, but I'm kind of thinking not salary, because the number of people in this department, as opposed to the number of people in the, I don't
Roads
know,
department.
admin department, the clerk's department.
Right. Well,
The
they're
difference in
general fund,
salaries,
these are the
they're,
non-general fund.
but I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
you're charging per person versus per salary, per total of salary, you may have 8 people in both departments and one has twice the salary. So why would they pay twice as much for something that is, say, HR related?
Well, if you start getting into the weeds though on that too, you could say, okay, Sandflats, you have 4 full-time people. There's only 2 of them using computers really, and the other is
Yeah.
using email, what I mean?
But you don't want to get into the weeds.
Yeah, you want to get into the weeds. It's too complicated.
Pay the county for
But
being
if
a
they
non.
were more like,
Yeah.
for, I'm drawing a blank as to how you would charge it, but some things you charge 10% of whatever. You charge X per employee. Some of it you charge a percent, like 5% on something that doesn't cost them very much to process. And other things like maybe HR is a larger percent of the actual number and so forth. Where you have just like a tax return, like a fairly simple tax return.
But-
There's 10% of this, 5% of this, and this much per employee, rather than 10% across the board.
Well, if you keep reading this little box, this is
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It's very simple. It's trying to say it's going to be one rate. It's going to be applied uniformly across applicable departments.
That's what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's
It's
question right now.
here spelled out. So it's.
But my argument to that was my HR argument, which
Yeah.
was like, we've got
Well, and I
9
think
employees, we're
that's
gonna pay
right.
$65,000.
Well, you
And
take away
somebody
some of
else,
that budget category.
and
right.
if you look at general, it's only $1,300 per employee across the county. Why should we be paying 65,000, $6,500 per employee? That's right.
So you say you don't use HR services very often.
Well, we
What-
do.
No, I
We
do. She said
I'm
IT,
sorry.
but actually I'm wrong,
My-
because we're
my
talking about
mistake.
firewall.
I understand. I
Yeah, all sorts of
misspoke.
stuff.
So you
Yeah.
don't use IT. What is your biggest? What is the biggest service they provide? What categories?
Well, I think we should talk about IT because I guess I'm wrong. I don't know
I
all they
think-
do.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is all just, it's at the moment just a suggestion. The 10% is a suggestion.
Yeah.
Gabe's had, the clerk's office has had pushback on, we want this more like specific and itemized as what it is, not just this generic box. So that's why, and then, last meeting, Chantel, who's the finance officer, showed me kind of a breakdown of what you could put in. It had all the breakdowns for HR, all the different departments that are being used by the other departments, and where you put in a thing, but it's not obviously it's not all the way ready to go. She just kind of showed it to me outside the commission meeting while I was going to the restroom, and I sent back to Gabe and said, hey, I think that would be something that was easier to understand, is like when you, like he just was saying, if we have 34% of the treasurer's office that's for everybody, take that 34%, divide it by the hourly wage, take all the hours and put it into there. And that would be the section of what this department would pay of that. So to me, that makes more sense.
Yes.
So I look forward to see what that looks like. I have a hard time
I think it's more.
Then it's more. We'll see though. I mean, if we see the breakdown, we'll be like either.
Otherwise, I think we should just argue for why, just because the fixed 10% is federal and across the country, we could argue for 8%.
Well, and the commission may be as well. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe arguing as well, because I mean, I do some stuff with the Grand County Education Foundation, and we're the fiscal agents, and we can take anywhere between 3 to 10%. It's kind of the thing. So it's like, it doesn't have to be the 10%.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. It could be whatever the commission says. This is the rate that we want to assess. But for us, for the commission and for the clerk's office, we need to have a specific. It needs to be a reason, so that it's like you said, across the board.
Yeah.
This is a reason, so that because these are restricted funds, and we don't want to be like, oh, we're just going to be taking our restricted funds,
Yeah.
taking these restricted funds into putting them in our general fund. So
Yeah.
we need to have a specific
Right.
reason why.
And that's what
we're doing it.
that's what Cody was worried about, I mean,
Yeah.
and I was too. This is
Yeah,
enterprise
yeah.
fund, and Cody's like, these are class
I
B road
feel like-
funds. So,
yeah.
what can they be used for? Yeah.
The indirect cost rate I don't know why it would apply to number 6, contractual purchase services.
That's where I was.
Yeah, like,
going when I asked.
so it just needs to eliminate some things of what it applies to.
It should be related to
Yeah.
what services are actually provided.
Yeah.
That's where I.
Right, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
when you're paying every
Not,
telecom for videos, I don't know why 10% would then go to.
Yeah. Will you email this to me too?
yes,
Email this to me.
With the understanding that there is overhead in this entity that provides
Yes.
those services that we don't have.
But you already paid $40,000, which, there's already $40,000.
you kind of wonder, is 40,000 enough? Maybe it already is. I don't know.
Well, that's why
We
I was
don't know.
saying about the rate.
That's why
Like,
we.
what was that based on? And then why not have swapped that percent? And then, so to base it on something, or to come up with.
Yeah, exactly. The
And that's-
10%, it's somewhat arbitrary unless it's.
Please says that nationwide public sector industry standard.
So the other, should I just continue the other things
Yes.
that might be it. That was it. It brought us down $7,000 in the budget.
That was kind of my point. You shouldn't have to do that. That's what my thought process was. If
Right.
this is tied to the actual services provided, you shouldn't have to go cherry pick
But that's what I
to get the number down.
I thought, when this whole started, I thought this was like, more definitive, like, okay, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, she made her last commission meeting to figure it out. We were all like, and trying to figure it out.
I mean, you're cutting the budget items on things that we're not getting any.
Well, it's like if
services.
they're cutting a check to pay for toilet services, they're making 10% of that for writing the check.
Well, that's what I said, they're only,
That's why I don't think it should be in the budget.
yeah.
Yeah, that should not be in that rate.
I'll go back to what I said earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sure each of these other departments can make the same arguments. So if we're going to start getting detailed, then they're going to have to be detailed as well. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to
Yeah.
do, but all that needs to be documented in the methodology.
And I've only talked to Cody, Maddie told me she hadn't seen a change yet. Well, so I don't know.
That's because they're going away. Right? Trails is one of the departments.
No, it's not going away.
Well, budget wise, they're going to be.
Very, they have a nonprofit, yeah. So, okay, so what was my next part? Okay, so I have the fee as a discussion thing, so I won't talk about that one yet. Okay, so then the other thing is, the fee as a discussion. I feel like I'm forgetting something. All right, so I will get into, what I'm hearing from Matt, I don't think you need anything for this. So, okay, what I have here is I have the director position as it exists and the director position with an update because HR has been working on reclassifying the director position. Right now it is we have steps and grades. Right now it is a grade 14. And departments in the county range from 14 to 18. And so I've been working with HR about reclassifying the position. And so the reasoning for that, and she's done presentations to the commission about it, that it won't be voted on till the last, to when they finish voting on the full budget in December. But the reasoning that I presented to HR and to my supervisor, and that she presented to the commission, was that the visitation at Sand Flats has increased 39% since 2017. The commercial users in that time have also increased 40%, and we help the BLM with monitoring them. The increase in visitation has required the director to assess and resolve new challenges for operations, facilities, and maintenance. Facilities continue to be improved to meet visitation needs. Capital improvements have involved improved and expanded campgrounds. And those of you that have been here a while, you know all the projects that we've worked on here. We've expanded our campgrounds in C&D. We built the shade structures in there for the group sites, added group sites. We've added the new parking lot at the Potato Salad Hill down there since that time. We changed the trailhead at Fins and Things. We changed the trailhead at Hell's Revenge. I mean, every year, just about, I'm doing
entrances and exits.
New entrances and exits for Hell's Revenge and for Fins, and new toilets and signage and all of that. And then
Future planning.
yeah. So these improvements have garnered 43% increase in, we also have new trails with GCAT, but also Sand Flats. 43% increase in trail mileage. We have, since 2017, and our campground facilities have increased 25% from 117 campsites to 146 campsites. And then another thing that has changed over the years has been the partnerships and how the county has grown, and what is asked of the director to work with these partnerships. And that includes DCAT, the Moab Office of Tourism, MTC, the Responsible Recreation Committee. And this position requires collaborating with many entities to achieve Sand Flats BLM and county goals, directs the negotiation and implementation of various agreements required to achieve the program goals, coordinates presentations and meetings with Grand County administration, Grand County, the committee, Sand Flats Committee, the BLM, Grand County Active Transportation and Trails, Responsible Recreation Committee, Motorized Trail Committee, Grand County Trail Mix, other Grand County committees and boards, coordinates operation activities with appropriate BLM staff, Grand County departments, and anyway, it gets a little bit redundant. But anyway, you get the idea. We're also working with law enforcement, search and rescue, the BLM law enforcement, the Sheriff's Department, EMS, and then also with this the level of fiscal responsibilities. There's been some changes in that. The processes for like the fee increase and different things have become a little more complex. We're also expanding the marketing and promotion with all of the films that we've done over the years, and our presence on social media, and also getting it out there on the TV station, those films that we develop. So anyway, I have a whole thing I wrote up here, but I read a lot of it to you. So with that said, what is being proposed is for my position to go from a 14 to a 16. And so this would increase the cost for the wages and benefits by $14,000 for next year.
So what's the salary at 14 right now?
And the salary of 14, well, I'm here, I have it right here.
Higher than a 14.
I'm at 14 right now. I am making $52.16 an hour. This would bring it up to $57.
So the annual salary,
right,
is.
But remember that's. But I'm at the end.
You know, what's the annual salary?
The annual salary would go to 190. Wait a minute. Let me just double check. 119 from 108. 108,503 to 119,625. And so anyway, that's the change that's being proposed, working with.
You have that change in this budget too, or not?
So what it would be, this is actually wrong. He has 465.
It's 648.
No, that's your benefits and your wages.
Oh.
No, it's actually right now, that should say 444,812. It should not say 465,000. And I just sent Gabe this information last week, so he would have it. So with the change, it would be 455,934. It still would be less than you see there.
Plus 10% for.
It's right there, 400. What?
Plus 10% for admin services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for a 10.
Okay, so the number I have right here is what it would be if my position was reclassified. And also the starting wage, I don't have it in front of me here.
I mean, I think the wages, fringe benefits and all that is relative, isn't it, with the salary?
Yeah, you see
Yeah.
the benefits there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well,
I meant just this number, yeah, but that's the
Oh,
other position.
yeah, so he's got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as much as shown there.
Yeah.
And the reason that, so I had brought this information to right here. These are the sheets that show every position and every salary for SandFlats personnel. And this is the hours of the seasonals. And so apparently Gabe had some of the hours wrong. And so I think
Yeah.
that's why he has it so much higher.
Yeah.
So I had given this information about a month ago to HR. So she would, have all the correct, we would make sure we worked together, make sure she had everything right. And then I thought she gave it to Gabe, but then last week I said, did you get it? And he didn't. So I sent it to him.
No, that looks great to go to 16.
So,
Is the county looking at every department head?
no,
It's just-
this is, well, they plan to so that was brought up at one of the meetings. So this is a reclassification of position. But what was brought up at one of the commission meetings is they said, well, when did the county do compensation study before? They did it in 2021.
Right on this one. With the 465.
And here's what it would be without my position changing.
He's got 465.
Yeah, see, he's got 465.
Oh, there, okay.
There's the right one, having my arrow. But that's with my position, but
It was,
it wasn't.
yeah, much lower than when you did the whatever it's called.
Oh, but the compensation that happened in 2021 did not include my position
Oh,
or many other department head
Mhm.
positions. It included all of SandFlex staff
but
minus
not
my position.
Oh, sure.
And the other thing to
Yeah.
think about is I won't be here forever.
Right.
And right now, as a 14, it starts at $38 an hour.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm at the top because I've been
Right.
here so long at
Yeah.
my step and grade.
Yeah.
So this at least brings it over 40
Yeah.
for somebody replacing me. So
Succession planning, Andrea.
yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, they need to be able to make some money. And then the other, we did bring that up to HR to try to put in the budget a planning to look at all of the salaries so that we can make sure that people are getting fair salaries. But I don't know if that will
The
happen.
thing about succession planning, though, is you say the department's directors are 14 to 18. So when you bring somebody into a new position, you don't necessarily bring them in at the upper.
Right, that's
Right.
why
At the
she's
bottom
trying to get this
So-
redefined
So
to have.
this is entirely appropriate, because
Yeah.
normally what you do
Right.
is
That's
you're
what
at a
she's
grade, and then you have cost of living, like most
Yeah.
people, well, in my job, you come in at maybe 85% of midpoint. And over the years, you asymptotically approach that midpoint, and then the only thing you get from year to year is cost of living. At some point, then you get a new position, you get a new grade, and it starts
I
moving.
think they get longevity and pay for performance. Do directors get paid for performance
Well,
too?
We did.
But not anymore.
I'm at the top
Yeah, so
in my step and grade.
Succession
So for 2
planning.
years.
yeah, it's good to have a band.
Yeah.
14 to 18, so new people come in at 14, but for the people that are in that position, you have to incentivize them by allowing changes in grade. So this
Yeah.
is completely appropriate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go to
And
16.
And Quinn was saying, my supervisor, Quinn Hall, was saying that the county does well in the ones that are grade up to grade 13, but then the positions above that, he says that they can't compete with like the city or other entities. So that's why they're gonna hopefully do a compensation study for
Yeah.
the whole, but this is just trying to
But
classify this.
Then hopefully that's tied to performance, because you're just getting into that problem with the city too. Really high paid positions where the person leaves. Yeah.
So that was the budget stuff, I think, except, Matt, we can go, what do I have on there? I have, hold on, that's way too many papers. Put it right here. Okay, so the fee increase. All right, the fee increase, and if you look at our business plan, Matt, I think I sent you, did you fall asleep on us?
No, I'm here.
Oh, wait, it's my fault, it's my fault, I have to do something. Hi, Matt.
There you go.
There's your lovely face. Okay, so the fee increase, if you go back to our business plan from 2023, it actually says that we would implement all of these changes by 2025, but
We better hurry.
we're not gonna implement all of them. We're not gonna bring the annual pass up to 50. Anyway, what is on there is to bring the annual pass to 30 and to bring the camping from 15 per vehicle to 20 per vehicle. That will bring in, what did I say? So we brought in, for camping, we brought in 294,405 in 2024, and we should bring in 392,540. So an 80, I thought I wrote in there, I did. Anyway, it's 98,135 more. That's with the camping, and then the annual pass will bring in about 6,000 more.
Annual pass has been 25 for.
Long time.
Andrea looked over at me because I was the one pushing to have it increased. I think it's a heck of a steal.
It is.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And especially when you
annual,
can
yeah.
volunteer, you know, I just don't have heartburn over
Well,
that.
do you guys want to, I mean, see, the thing is,
It's up to the group. I'm saying I support it and I advocated for it through the business plan process.
so we don't really have, I mean, you guys already voted for the range. And so did the commission agree to that too, but I did change it on the consolidated fee schedule, but I mean, I haven't turned it in yet. So do you feel it should go more than 30?
35.
30.
What's
35.
the daily fee? Like, when you just go up there for the day?
$10 for a week.
$10 for a week.
There's no one day.
Oh, no, one day,
That's
just
what
pay
we changed.
$10.
Right.
That's what we did in 2023. We went to the $10 for a week instead of $5 for 3 days. It's $10 for a week.
So somebody would have to come 5 times to make $50 worth it.
Oh, they do, most people. I mean, we do have,
I mean, I'm just always like, I go to Lake Powell and I just buy the annual, because I'm like, if I go 2 times,
Right.
is it worth it for me to buy the
Yeah.
annual?
It'd
Yeah,
be
so I just like, what's the breaking point of just buying an annual versus going by the week? So that was my own thought. So right now at $30, it's really, we're at $25.
25 is all it is right
Yeah,
now.
it's like 2 times and breaking
And
even.
it's good for the year. I just bought a state park pass and it expires in the year.
It's 120.
I know, that's what
It was
they
zero
tell us too. It doesn't matter when you buy it, it expires at the end of the year. Yeah.
At least
That's
it's
a good example.
It's year to, yeah.
It's
Yeah, Park Service is the same. Yeah.
full year.
Well, do you want it to go?
You can go 35.
year?
Yes.
I'll
I know, I didn't know.
Yeah.
35?
How about it on my birthday?
Make a motion.
every year?
35?
If it's for you, man.
40? How about 40?
35.
35. Going once.
All right. Mike made a motion to change the annual pass from 25 to
Are
35.
these all electronic payments that you're gonna receive for the annual pass? I'm just thinking about
They're all-
5s
I was
as
like-
opposed to 20s.
So it was like 40.
Well, the people that pay at 15 so
far
far for camping.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I know, 40 would be
It
nice.
is, but I mean, it's probably local people that are buying these,
Yes, it's mostly locals.
so
Yeah. I mean.
They don't wanna feel like they're getting
So, did somebody second it?
I second.
Okay.
35.
Okay. All right, all in favor? You don't want it to go to 35?
Go to 40, like 220s, like no change. Everything's in 20s.
Everybody carried ones.
Pretty soon those won't be minted either.
All right, but 3 voted.
All right.
All right, 3 voted.
I mean, the 20s are the new one.
Yeah,
It's like
they don't
everything
even have
costs
pennies anymore.
So I think if we had been raising it incrementally, then maybe 40 would be time for 40, but since it's been 25 for a long time, that's a good step. Maybe we go to 40 2 years from now.
Yeah. I think that,
50 cents a week for those of us that
So
live there.
in terms of printing and all that kind of stuff, if you're looking at going in 2 years,
Yeah.
what do you have printing cost wise? Just your brochures?
We don't-
Yeah, they don't.
Not
make sense.
additional signs or anything?
No,
Just have the one sign at the booth, but we can actually get stickers too from the prison that look pretty good if we wanted to.
Lots of songs.
But I mean, one sign that has a price.
yeah.
And it might be in our brochures now, but it's not in the little handout. It's just, it might be in the big one.
What you have to do this way is just put one sticker over the two. that says three.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
There we go, I'll go for it.
Okay.
She's changing her problems.
Yeah, I got a bunch of fives over here.
Okay.
That's why we can't go to 40.
It's right by mine.
Be two
Wait a minute,
numbers.
you can do it for free.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last thing, since it's happening, Matt, you can just put some of those pictures on the screen. There's an overview from Cliff.
It started today.
Yeah, they started today. And some folks heard me talking before the meeting started about, okay, so yeah, you make that any bigger? It's really
Yeah,
hard.
hold on here.
Numbers.
So it's not all just volunteer work?
No, it's a contract with Dave Cousins. He used the
Okay.
heavy equipment.
All right.
It's Cliff Coons. It's let me say his name wrong again. His name is not Connor. Carson from the state
Okay.
trail crew, and Brendan McGann from Sand Flats.
Yeah.
And they're working up there today. And he said,
They said they were gonna do today, Wednesday, Thursday.
So meaning like
yeah,
what?
but now the Wednesday, Thursday's not going to happen because there's a problem with the machine. So there's 3 sites. This is the parking lot at Porcupine where the stock tanks are.
Right.
And then this is the Porcupine 4x4 trail. So this is, like it comes into, this is still this is Porcupine Rim continuing. And this is where you could turn off onto the Porcupine 4x4 trail, or most people are actually coming this way. But anyway, there's these 2 places here. They worked on this one today, and I do have some more pictures. And then there's another place not too far down, and then the other place is further out. Yes, Matt's putting in the rollover that he witnessed there.
Oh, really? After we walked in, there was a rollover.
No doubt.
We were all.
Oh, that's right. You were there.
It's ledging out horizontally.
We
So
were
as you,
there.
as you drive the trail, it's getting high on the
Right.
right, low on the left. And
So
then
they're working on
they
that.
were gonna cut into the bank on the right to provide a
Yeah.
larger landing
Yeah,
area.
some of the pictures looks crazy. I was like, that is rough.
Oh, it's really rough.
It's
Yeah.
really bad.
That's a good.
And years ago,
That is rough.
I had the road department do work in here, and they broke their equipment, and it cost a lot of money to fix that. And I don't want to bother them again.
I can believe it.
Oh, you don't for doing it. It says good.
Once you start going up on the right,
Yeah.
it's so soft on the left.
So we have an MOU, on the agenda,
And the further
MOU
you pull up the
for the state road
Yeah.
department to add more people, or state child department,
Oh,
add more
okay.
people to.
Well, this is the first time that I've been involved in a project with them, so I'm glad they're helping us. They were supposed to have 2 people, but I guess they're just down to 1 now.
So really, the only contract is with Dave Cousins.
It's $4,900.
Yeah. Yeah, $4,900, $100 an hour. And but you heard, some of you in the beginning before we started heard Cliff say that there's something wrong with the equipment. He has to get it fixed. So we'll see if he gets it fixed by early in December, then they can come out and do the other ones.
So did they get the upper location?
Yeah, they
done?
did the first one done.
Okay, and the second one wasn't bad. I think there's probably some miscommunication. The second one was probably the third one. The third location
Was the furthest out.
was the furthest out, and someone had, one of the users had provided some input that there was a ledge down below the upper location that needed some attention. And when we walked down there, it really wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It was the third location, I think.
Yeah,
that
it's
was-
really bad.
That was really
Mhm.
pointed.
We like those other ones.
Yeah, they're all kind of similar things. You've got ledges that people can't get up.
Well, that
them, and-
whole trail gets ledgy.
Yeah.
And I want to say in the last, 3-4 months, this spot right here, it's at the very top. It's the section number 1. From Jill and myself, I've witnessed at least, 3 simple rollovers like that. They just try to get up and they roll over.
Brendan was out there when one guy was afraid to come up, and he was kind of telling him where to go to get up there, and he got up, but they were terrified
Yeah,
when
you
they got to
called
that
He
point.
called
Yeah,
it ground walking because he was saying it's off camber with the software.
and also too, this is my, a lot of people don't like to get out of their vehicles and stack rocks, which, I was, learned a long time ago. If you need to get up something like that, stack the rocks so your tires can get up versus just trying to go up the ledge. So that's, to me, that's a 4x4 issue though. But a lot of people don't like to get out of their vehicles anymore.
Maybe now, maybe later.
Okay, well, that's all I had.
That was it.
No, it's an hour, a little over an hour, so.
All our meetings should be.
Okay, so basically, Melanie, at the workshop, you guys are assessing this indirect cost rate. And the workshop is just you guys.
I honestly, the
Yeah.
public is more than welcome to come to the workshop.
Oh.
And it is zoomed, as they do put it on
Okay.
Zoom, as it's live as well, so you can watch it. I do not know what the budget workshop agenda is.
Okay.
Gabe actually does run that part of it, and it's not uploaded yet. But I imagine, it's a piece of it. I think we're gonna have to have quite a few budget meetings, to be honest. Like, I'm looking at the budget, just like with little things going, we're gonna have to have some. I printed the whole budget today,
Wow.
79 pages, and I'm gonna be going through and circling, things, and I've got lots of questions. So I think we've got, this is only our second budget workshop, and we have till the end of December 15th, and if we have to have a December 30th meeting to finish the budget, but I think there's going to be some budget meetings as well. So I don't think that this is going to be, honestly, because you just heard the discussion that was in here. Think about the discussion that the commissioners have. I don't think it's going to be something that we have solidified, unfortunately, tomorrow. I hope we get to see the next piece, but as Gabe said, he's leery to roll that out to the commissioners until he feels like it's good. So we might not see that tomorrow.
Okay.
We might not see that tomorrow. I just learned to not
Well,
plan on anything.
hats off for going through these process changes. They're hard, but they're needed.
Yeah, and I fully agree with Gabe that we need to have something that defines that. So I pulled that up. So Maddie's was TPAT's was 18,000, and now goes to 33. Yours was 40, went to 88. The roads was 70 and it went to 250, which is the max out because roads has the cap is the 250. And then MOT also, and they were what were they? They were like 40 or something, and going. So that's actually what brought it before the commission really fast was Brian Martinez, because he was in the board, the MOT board, whenever they were doing their budget, and he came and he said it's going to be this amount, and Brian wasn't.
What did it go to?
So theirs was $20,600, and the MOTs went to 250, which is the max out.
Because so that's what I'm just saying, you have to change why.
Yeah, that's what brought it before the commission. It was like, whoa, what's going on? And so we need to have some kind of a.
So I think all you have to do is define more what budget it's applying to, not just its general budget.
Yeah. And so because roads, their qualifying expenses, it says is $3,535,000. It says that the Moab Office of Tourism's qualifying expenses $3,986,000. And so those are, if you take 10% of those, we're well over 300,000.
Yeah.
We have this cap. Whereas the active trails and transportation, their qualifying expense is $334,000, and then sign funds is $884,000.
Yeah.
If you're taking 10% of those,
Hers only went up
so
from
hers went
18 to 30.
33.
Because
More than and she person. Yeah.
So maybe look at applying it just to the salaries or just to a percent.
Yeah, I think
eliminate some of the part of the budget he's applying it to.
we just want to have a clear.
Why isn't it?
It could be just salaries, but a higher percentage too.
Or just, I'm really curious how much it's costing. I mean, I like the treasurer's one, because they're like, yes, 34% of our
Well,
time.
the treasurer already figured it out for it. It sounded like he already figured that out for Gabe, so Gabe could take that, put it into the equation. So
Yeah.
it'll be it will be, I'm ready. I've actually asked Gabe about that multiple times. Say, I heard there's another way. What do you think? And say,
Yeah, just eliminate some of those budget categories.
So you can sit there and say, this is what it costs per employee, and they put it out that way. So
I like what he said about trying to be consistently applied to all.
well, we have to be able to
Right.
speak to, it needs to be not confusing. So everybody knows what exactly the money, why it's being there. And I reached out to a couple other clerks and they said they spend all their money and they don't have anything like that. So
Yeah.
They don't have any kind of money coming to them.
they don't have anything like this in place. They spend all the money in their own, in each department. There's not extra money left over to we just get we get a lot of money in TOT specifically that other counties don't. And maybe I didn't ask right. I'm in this Utah Rural Leadership Academy. So there's other clerks and other elected officials that are in there. So I just asked that because I had access to them, I just emailed them. So maybe I need to be asking like Washington County or something.
Yeah.
But you were asking them if they got any money from
if they had
paying them for their service.
Yeah, I specifically sent them that little box and asked, is this something that you guys put on your non-general funded? And they said, no.
That's why I just want more clarification.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so how many counties are really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, counties really are charging you for it, or there's something that just got.
It's not inappropriate though. They spend their time
No, it's
and
tax
resources
dollars.
on
It's
department.
general fund, it's tax dollars, and we're bringing in money from visitors.
It cannot be based on some parts of each non-general fund entities' budgets, like contractual purchases. Just limit it to what you're charging it to.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that will be on this. If I can't guarantee that it'll be on tomorrow's budget conversation. I mean, it's a conversation that is going to get talked about, and it hasn't been approved by the commission as far as the ideology or the amount of money either. So it's still just up in there. Okay. Hopefully we're gonna have quite a few budget meetings, and all of our budget meetings will they're all live, they're all on YouTube, so you can watch any of them at any point in time. If I get an answer, I can send you guys a link to where it's at in one of our meetings.
You can look it up on our little computers.
Yeah, well, it's nice to get a link, like, hey, look at this day and at this time stamp, So if you guys don't log in, then I can try to share that with you.
I have some ideas for the next meeting.
Okay.
I'd like to propose discussing if we could do a landscaping out front, but like on a volunteer basis. If we put in some landscaping.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, the city's done a great job with that corridor by the camping, the parking, right? They re-landscaped all.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be that much to do it.
Well, you need the irrigation and then, it doesn't have to be like grass. Desert landscape.
Yeah, no, I didn't want any grass.
Yeah, and I would, I mean, I know you talked about hiring out to do it. No, it's just like, maybe. Yeah. Just volunteer. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Do you know what you want out there?
A drip system and then maybe some.
Well, we talked at one point about a little bit of mounds, but we don't have to have mounds. We can just flatten. I mean, native stuff. I mean, well, desert willow would be nice. But.
Just the follow up with weeding. So I know probably just all the staff does the weed.
There's not much grows out there.
Right.
The maintenance will do some.
Okay.
Of course, they spray too. So that's maybe why not much is growing out there now, because they've been spraying a few years now.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was just throwing it out there.
We're usually spraying along the fences where I see them doing it the most, and in the retention pond over there.
Yeah. Unless you guys like it.
Someone drove on it the other day, and I think they stole our water. So I took the hose off and put it in the back because I think somebody came here at night and filled up their RV or something. There's these big tracks in the front. They just drove in and filled up their tank and drove out. I don't know, but there was tracks across it.
Wow, okay.
And I thought, I bet they're getting our water.
Just an idea. So this building is rented from the county,
No,
the city.
we bought this.
You bought it.
Sand Flats paid for this.
Okay.
Sand Flats paid for, okay, so the county owns
as
the
a
property.
Sand Flats Stewardship member, I'd just be willing to take on some landscaping.
We,
Alarm system out there.
And do we pay?
Yeah, well, you know, it's lights coming on.
Videos.
No.
I know, I always am
that would be good. I just started getting the utilities from them.
They're doing all their own IT.
but then you don't pay at least for the land.
No, we don't pay at least for the.
You don't pay at least for the land.
So
So I mean, there's all these,
Yeah.
it's-
So we, so EMS had this property first, and then they ended up, it wasn't big enough for parking for them to use it. So the county paid them back for the property. And then, but that was kind of happening once we were already on here, actually, but, so Sand Flats fees paid for this building, paid for all the improvements to the yard, like there was old sheds out there I took down like in 2016, I took those down when we didn't know, when we left, the BLM yard, we didn't know we were gonna end up. Then we ended up with EMS in the kitchen for 5 years. And so, but I had put the sheds here and I had taken down all the old sheds, put our sheds here, put in electric from the pole to the sheds. And we were paying probably water and stuff. I don't know if we paid water and stuff, but anyway, we paid electricity. I know we paid that for 5 years, but we weren't here. We just had our sheds here. And we were up there, but we weren't paying anything to EMS to be up there. And then I was going to move the sheds up there because EMS said that they were going to have an office for us up there too. But then Ruth said, you keep your sheds down here because we don't know how it's going to work out. Ruth Dillon, who was my supervisor. And I'm glad I did because then it was like October 2019. I had just finished the 50th anniversary of the Slick Rock Bike Trail and the film and the event and all that stuff. I thought, I can just kind of rest a little bit, No, you're going to be homeless in April. So we didn't have any place to be. So fortunately, the commission let me just go ahead and not put it out for bid and just buy this because 5 years earlier, I had done all the research to get this trailer because it was the same with the charter school, same company. And I'd done all the research and they said, okay, go ahead. You could just, but I had to tear the house down that was here. It had asbestos. I'd already had that checked, but it was the not friable kind of asbestos. So we could have a local contractor do it. And not trying to think which contractor got it anyway. And then I had Yoakum do the concrete, and then guy in LaSalle did the welding for the steps and all that, and Bill Hulse at the building department and Bill Jackson. They were all helpful, because Bill Jackson leveled it before it came. But we had to get all the the water in and all that stuff in, electricity, everything in before it came, and so it was a group effort for sure. But and then we brought GCAP with us. Like when I designed, you designed a building, the parameters. So Maddie, she put in what she wanted. But then when it came right during COVID, like April 2020. And they put the closets were reversed. So the way I wanted my shelving was in hers, and the way she wanted the shelving was up here. So I got a contractor to fix it, and then they paid for it. The company paid for it because they didn't want to send a guy up to fix what the factory had messed up because then he'd have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. So they said, we'll pay the contractor. So that was a lot of work on my part, getting contractor, keeping track of everything. Oh my gosh. And they did a bad job of installing it, actually. We had them come back because it wasn't level. There was all kinds of things. But a nicely built building, but then the installation had issues. So we had to keep after it. But they ended up paying for everything. They paid for everything, no other problems.
We did.
Anyway, I told you more than you needed to know.
Officially adjourned, but
Yeah, we didn't officially adjourn. Okay, sorry.
Still recording, Matt?
Yes,
I'm stopping.
sorry.